And I know that, there are some people who think climate change is a hoax. It ain't a hoax. I think the last 10 years have been the warmest on record. And we can create millions of good-paying jobs transforming our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency.
What's going on, you guys? Today we have Joe Rogan getting into an argument with Bernie Sanders. Joe Rogan is not believing in climate change anymore. Let's get into it.
Get to see the whole thing. I've only watched the first half so far. And, well, let's just get right to it. They're talking about climate change.
But, the other thing that I would do, and, you got to deal with this climate change issue. And I know that, there are some people who think climate change is a hoax. It ain't a hoax. I think the last 10 years have been the warmest on record. And we can create millions of good-paying jobs transforming our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency.
So first of all, he's 100% wrong about that. The last 10 years have not been the hottest on record. It's when you decide to start keeping the records. So, yeah, if you go back in the records, a wink of an eye in the if you go back 5 minutes, yeah, because that's what they do. When did they start keeping these records? The Earth has been around for 4 billion years, right? When did they start keeping these records? Well, Joe Rogan actually pushes back on Bernie on this, right? So you always hear that. Here's Joe. Good tip of the hat for Joe.
I think the climate change issue is very complicated. And I think, did you see the Washington Post piece that they wrote where they did this long-term view? First of all, the reality is that the Earth's temperature has never been static, right? We can both agree on that. It's always been up and down. There's been ice ages and heat waves.
Yeah, and for most of the planet's history, it's been way hotter than it is right now. So this idea that the last 10 years are the hottest on record, it's just when they started keeping records. It's not the history of the planet. It's been way hotter most of our planet's history. Did you know that? So that whole thing of the last 10 years are the hottest on record, that's just the records that humans decided to start keeping. That plays into their climate change agenda. But if you go back to ice cores and you look at, well, Joe's going to say.
And then the Washington Post looked at it. What was the time period that they looked at? That essentially they found that we're in a cooling period.
So the Washington Post, there was the scientist, the Washington Post did a story saying that they went back over the last 485 million years, which again is a short period of time
And of course, Jimmy Dore isn't going to believe climate change is real either, just like, anything else that could, regard anyone besides him. Of course, he's probably going to say, yeah, it's not hotter by me. So I don't believe in any of that stuff. I mean, I'm not going to, why even look at the news? Why look at all these, there's different things that the environment is going through right now. It's okay over here where I'm living. It's always this, It's a common thread between Trump supporters.
We're in a cooling phase. It's been way hotter over the last 500 million years on Earth, on average, than it is right now. And he's going to talk about that.
That the Earth over the past X amount of years, and this was like a very inconvenient discovery, but they had to report the data, and kudos to them for doing that. Scientists have captured the Earth's climate change over the last 485 million years. Here's the surprising place we stand now. So look at the far end of that graph, and you see we're in a cooling period.
Well, I'm not sure. I didn't read that article, but
yeah.
I didn't read that article. You mean the one article written in the Washington Post that was a reprint from, I think, Science Magazine? The one article that actually debunks all the stuff that you've been saying? You didn't have time to read it? It only takes 5 minutes. That one article, the most informative, the biggest study that the scientists have ever done, you didn't have time to read it? It takes 5 minutes. Of course you didn't, because it goes against your narrative. Of course you didn't read it. Here we go.
The scientists who are out there, I think.
I know, but there's a lot of money involved in that too, Bernie. That's part of the problem. There's a lot of money involved in this whole climate change emergency issue, and there's a lot of control, and that's a big part of this problem. Not only that,
if you have a counter narrative to the climate change establishment agenda, you get defunded. Just like look what they did to people who were telling the truth about COVID. Look what they did to those doctors. Those doctors got disbarred. They got kicked off. They got their credentials taken away. Look what happened to Dr. Pierre Corey. Look what happened to Mary Talley. Look what happened to virologists. Who do we have on? Dr. Malone. Look what they did to all those people. They smeared them, slandered them. People got kicked. They passed laws in California making doctors not prescribe certain medicines because that's how controlled they are. So that's what he's talking about. A lot of money. And so just like they have the control of doctors, they have the control of climate scientists. Who funds them?
Well, it's interesting, all the demands that they put on people. And like gardeners, what are they doing here in the state of California to gardeners?
Yeah. They're not banning private jet travel. They're banning gas-powered leaf blowers. And who does that help? Well,
in that Washington Post article, in literally verbatim, it says carbon dioxide is really the master dial. That's an important message in terms of understanding why emissions from fossil fuels are a problem today. Literally saying that, hey, look, this is causing a climate change. From the exact same article that both of these doofuses are referencing. What more do they want? They want to. Joe Rogan used to believe in climate change. He used to undoubtedly, be very, very used to speak up for it. Now it really has just been a complete mind virus of saying, look, I just sort of have to agree with everything that these guys are going for. And now they're convincing themselves they're not even reading the entire article.
It helps the big companies because they have money to replace all their stuff. And it's the small companies that get squeezed out. So so there's a lot of money in climate change. A lot. Well, that movie, Michael Moore's movie, the last one that he produced about the climate change, it talked about all the money that's involved in it.
If we're just talking about primarily carbon and carbon footprint, what are we going to do about China? Because China is like, what percentage of
they are the major polluter right now in terms of carbon. We're number 2. We used to be 1. They're number 1 right now.
I think they have an enormous percent of the global. I think they're
number 1. I don't know.
Very high. It's very high.
It's not an American issue. It is.
Well, the number 1 organization, yes, China again releasing most of the CO, but the U.S. military, right? And when are they going to say, let's close down our 900 military bases? There's no organization that emits more carbon than the U.S. military. Okay.
A global issue. And all I can tell you is that we are, in my view, going to see more extreme weather disturbances in the coming years than we have ever. And we're seeing them right now.
Right, but scientists don't agree. Well, this is where it gets confusing. Because scientists that are in agreement, there's all these entanglements. Whenever someone's...
I almost want to say, maybe even off the record, that people like Jimmy Dore, people like Joe Rogan are meant to just be here to divide up further, to have all these other people that, don't want to completely make their Republican family upset. So they're going to, agree with these issues that, the working people and, I'm not really agreeing with the military about how much money goes over there. But I still sort of, I'm not going to dunk on Trump all day. It's like, what are you even talking about? Like, what are you here for? Right? We agree, progressives agree that, yes, the military is overfunded, right? Progressives agree that this is a worldwide issue, that as far as the climate change goes. So why is Joe Rogan and Jimmy Dore going for the fact of, hey, look, this is something, they're wanting to turn it into something divisive. Whenever it's something that we agree on, and for the record, it's only the things that you guys are sort of, I could say, for lack of a better word, ignorant about. As far as like climate change and all this, like saying that the world has never been cooler. That's because they have people on it finally. Like they going back from 500 million years as a carbon in the same article said that it was the carbon dioxide that they're going for. These need to stop. It just doesn't make sense. But let me know what you guys think in the comments.